For 250 years, Earth was silent. No signals, no ships, no answers. The galaxy had moved on. The old alliances dissolved. New empires rose and fell. To most, Earth was nothing but a myth, just a forgotten world once full of fire and promise. In the galactic records, Earth was marked as unreachable. Many believed it had destroyed itself, as humans were known to push too far, too fast. But a few remembered, and a few feared. Captain Rin of the Velari trade fleet had never believed in the old stories. He had grown up hearing tales of Terrans, humans who once defied ancient powers and even caused the fall of the Xarn Dominion. But those were bedtime stories made to scare children. Humans were extinct or close to it. Everyone knew that. Until now. It started with a single signal, an ancient distress beacon, weak but unmistakable. It came from deep space, a region long avoided by trade routes. No one should have been there. The signal carried a strange code, one no species had used for centuries. But the computer systems identified the language, Old Earth Standard. Rin froze when he saw the translation. "We are here. We remember." The message repeated again and again, sent from a dead system with no known colonies. The crew thought it was a joke, a leftover satellite, or old wartime echo. But the coordinates were real, and Rin couldn't look away. He sent the David to Central Command. They dismissed it. Ignore it. Ghost signal, they said. Earth is dead. But Rin couldn't shake the feeling. Something wasn't right. He rerouted his ship without permission. The closer they got to the signal, the stranger things became. The stars around the system had changed positions slightly, faster than they should have. Scans showed gravity fluctuations, faint but present, like something massive had moved through recently. Then they found the satellites. Thousands of them, arranged in perfect formation, surrounding a dead planet that shouldn't have been there. The planet wasn't on any chart. It was covered in metallic dust and strange artificial rings. Rin's ship went silent as soon as they entered orbit. No power, no lights, just darkness. That's when they saw it, an object moving through the rings. Not a ship, not exactly. More like a structure, long, dark, with sharp edges and glowing lines. It moved without sound, without signal, without propulsion. One of Rin's crew whispered, "It's watching us." They tried to leave, but nothing worked. Systems rebooted and failed. Then the object sent a transmission, not in any known language, but something deeper. A pulse that hit their minds like a whisper. Images, memories, war, fire, earth burning, humans screaming, and then silence. After a few minutes, everything turned back on. Systems rebooted, lights returned, but the signal was gone, and the object vanished. They returned to Central Command with what they had recorded. The footage caused panic. The signal was real. The planet was real. And most terrifying of all, humans were still alive. But these were not the humans from old stories. They were something else now. Smarter, stronger, silent. And they had chosen to speak again, after centuries of watching. The galaxy didn't know it yet, but everything had just changed. Rin stared at the final frame of the footage. A human face, emotionless, scared, with eyes glowing faint blue. Then came a second message, hidden in the pulse code. It read, "You forgot us. We did not forget you." And across the galaxy, those who remembered the power of Earth felt a chill. The silence had ended. And what came next, no one was ready for. The signal spread fast. Across the galaxy, governments, warlords, and old enemies all heard the same thing. Earth was speaking again. Most didn't believe it. Some laughed. Others were afraid. But one thing was clear. Someone had to investigate. The Galactic Council, once powerful, but now slow and divided, held an emergency meeting. The footage from Captain Rin's ship was played again and again. Every time the final image showed, the scared human face with glowing blue eyes, the room fell silent. "This cannot be real," said the Tharn ambassador, his voice shaking. "Humans are gone. We saw them fall." "But if they returned, if they evolved in silence," whispered another, "then we may all be in danger." A scout fleet was formed, made of elite ships from 7 species. They called it Project Ember because they believed they were flying into the last ashes of a dead fire. They were wrong. The fleet jumped to the coordinates found in Rin's logs. What they saw was not just a strange planet. It was a fortress. The planet, once thought empty, now showed signs of life, if you could call it that. The surface was dark and smooth, covered in strange black structures. Giant towers stretched into the sky. But no windows, no lights, no movement. It looked dead. But every scan said the same thing. Power. Massive power. Deep below the surface. The scout ships sent small drones down. The towers seemed to react. Not by shooting, but by watching. Each drone sent back pictures. Walls lined with ancient weapons, symbols written in old Earth languages, and strange machines humming deep below. Then one drone entered a chamber. At the center was a statue, 20 meters tall, a human soldier, armored in metal no one recognized, holding a flag with no known symbol. Below it were 3 words: "We remember everything." The drone shut down. Every drone shut down. Then one of the towers turned. It opened. The fleet froze. From inside, something rose, silent and smooth. A ship. But not like any ship seen before. It was shaped like a blade, covered in armor that bent the light. It had no engines, no weapons visible, but it hovered effortlessly. Then came the voice. A transmission, across all channels, in perfect galactic standard. "This is the Terran remnant. You came to our grave. Now you know we still breathe." The voice was human, calm, cold. The fleet commander, a Kryn veteran of 1,000 battles, tried to reply. "We come in peace. We only seek answers." The human voice responded. "Your peace is built on forgetting. Your answers come too late." And then the ship vanished, just blinked out. No warp, no jump, no trace. The fleet left quickly, but not before they found something else. Floating in orbit was a satellite, old, rusted, Earth-made. It had a simple recording. The video showed a human girl, standing in rubble, looking up. She said only one thing: "Earth is not gone. Earth is waiting." The fleet returned to the Council in fear. But not everyone wanted peace. Some saw weakness. Some saw power they wanted for themselves. And one warlord, known only as Jar the Ironborn, made a decision that would shake the stars. He would send an army, not to make peace, but to conquer what was left of Earth. He believed the humans were weak, hiding in old machines, pretending to be strong. He would prove them wrong, and he would learn just how much the galaxy had forgotten. Because Earth was not sleeping. Earth was watching, and it was ready. Jar the Ironborn was feared across the stars. He ruled 5 systems with an iron grip. His fleets had burned colonies, crushed rebellions, and silenced whole species. To him, the idea of old Earth meant nothing. Just a ghost planet full of broken machines. He had seen the footage. He had heard the signal. But he didn't believe in ghosts. "This is a bluff," he told his war council. "A trick to make the galaxy afraid again. Earth fell long ago. Whatever remains is mine to take." His fleet moved fast. Over 200 warships, carrying 10,000 soldiers, plasma tanks, and orbital cannons. No other empire dared to stop him. Some even hoped he would succeed, to finally end the mystery of Earth. Jar sent a message ahead. "We are coming. Surrender, and your machines may survive." There was no answer. The fleet arrived 3 days later, just outside the strange ring of satellites. Jar gave no warning. He ordered the satellites destroyed. Missiles launched. Energy beams fired, but the satellites did nothing. They didn't move. They didn't defend. Jar laughed. "Old junk," he said. Then the missiles disappeared. Not exploded, not blocked. Gone. His officers stared at the screens. "Sir, they never reached the targets. They just vanished." Jar ordered fighters forward. A squad of small ships flew into the ring. Silence. Then one of them returned. It wasn't flying straight. It drifted. When the fleet brought it in, the pilot was missing. Inside the cockpit was only a single object, a metal cube, glowing faint blue. No one could open it. Jar grew angry. He ordered a full assault. "Crush the towers. Break through. I want Earth's core in chains." The warships fired everything they had. The towers didn't break. Instead, they shifted. Each tower unfolded like a blooming flower of steel. From inside rose defense platforms, sleek, black, silent. They didn't fire beams or launch missiles. They fired pulse waves. Invisible bursts. One by one, Jar's ships shut down, not destroyed, disabled. His strongest warships turned cold in seconds. No alarms, no explosions, just dead silence. Jar screamed into the comms. "Retreat. Regroup." Only a handful of ships managed to jump away. The rest were trapped. Then a message appeared on every screen in his fleet. "You came to bury Earth. You forgot who taught you war." And from deep beneath the planet, something rose. A massive ship, larger than any Jar had ever seen. It was old, and yet new. Dark metal, ancient Earth markings, and engines that glowed like stars. It didn't attack. It just hovered above the battlefield. Jar tried to send a final message, desperate for diplomacy. But this time, the human voice replied. "You sent war to a graveyard. Now you've woken the dead." The last thing Jar saw before his ship went dark was the face of a human commander, young, calm, with eyes that held centuries of silence. Jar was taken, not killed, not tortured. He vanished. His fleet became part of the orbit, silent, floating tombs around the planet. The galaxy heard what happened, and for the first time in centuries, they feared Earth again. But no one knew what the Terrans wanted. Were they protecting something, or preparing for something worse? Because at the edge of the system, beyond the reach of any telescope, another human signal whispered through deep space. And it wasn't a message of peace. It was a call. And someone, or something, answered. Far beyond the edge of the galaxy, in a cold and empty region where no empire dared to go, a deep space listening post picked up something strange. A signal. It was old, wrapped in heavy encryption, bouncing off dead stars and forgotten relays. The few who heard it could barely understand it. But one thing was clear. It was sent from Earth. And it wasn't just a message. It was a call. For weeks, the signal echoed through deep space, passing through systems untouched by war, drifting across dark zones where ships never returned. Then someone answered. A ship appeared. Not near Earth, but near a colony called Telrun 4, a small mining outpost with no weapons and no defenses. The colony received no warnings. No ships were detected on approach. But then the sky turned dark. Telrun 4's moons vanished. Just gone. In less than a minute. Miners looked up, confused and terrified, as something massive passed over their sky. It had no shape they could describe, just shadow and light, like a hole in space wrapped in black armor. The colony tried to send a distress signal. Nothing got out. Then came a voice. Not human, not alien. Something in between. You heard Earth. We heard too. And then the colony was gone. Not destroyed. Removed. As if it had never existed. Only the black mark in the ground remained, a perfect circle where Telrun 4 used to be. News of the event spread quickly. No empire claimed the attack. No one took responsibility. But the message was clear. Someone answered Earth's signal, and they were far beyond anything the galaxy understood. Panic spread. The Galactic Council demanded answers. Some believed Earth had called for allies. Others thought Earth had awakened something even it could not control. Captain Rin, now a high-ranking officer, was one of the few brave enough to return to the system near Earth. He didn't come with a fleet, just a single diplomatic ship. When he arrived, Earth did not fire. Instead, a small vessel approached him, a human ship. But this one looked different. Sleek, silver, with a strange glow. No weapons, no markings. It connected to Rin's ship through a secure channel. A human appeared on the screen. She looked young, but her eyes held age, centuries of silence. Her voice was soft, but full of power. "You were the first to come. You deserve to know." "Know what?" Rin asked. "That Earth was never silent," she replied. "We were watching, listening, waiting for the galaxy to forget us." "Why?" "Because we had to change. We had to survive." The human explained what few had ever imagined. Earth had gone dark on purpose. After centuries of war, betrayal, and alien invasions, the last human nations had chosen to vanish. Not to surrender, to evolve. Hidden in deep bunkers, silent fleets, and frozen time bubbles, they'd rebuilt in secret. They watched the galaxy rise and fall, and when the time came, they reached out. But the call wasn't just sent to allies. It was sent to something older, something the humans had found long ago, in a lost part of space, something they had made a deal with. Rin asked, "What did you call?" The human woman's smile faded. "We called the first flame." And before he could ask more, the screen went dark. Back in council space, more colonies started vanishing. Not attacked, erased. Entire records wiped, planets removed from charts. The stars were shifting. And the galaxy realized too late. This was not just Earth's return. This was Earth's answer. And it was only the beginning. Long before Earth went silent, before the great wars and betrayals, the Terrans found something. It wasn't a weapon. It wasn't a ship. It wasn't alive. But it was power, raw, endless, ancient. Buried deep inside a dying star, it waited, untouched for millions of years. The early human explorers called it the first flame. It was not made by humans. It was not made by any known species. It was older than memory, older than time itself. And it spoke to them. At first, the humans tried to study it. Scientists failed. Machines broke. Data vanished. Yet those who stayed near the flame heard whispers, voices from no known language. Some went mad. Some became more than human. When Earth started losing the wars, when the alien empires closed in, the Terran leaders made a decision. Hide the flame, protect it, and build around it. Earth went silent not because it was weak, but because it was changing, with the flame at its center. They called the new project the Ember Core. The last human cities were moved underground, into bunkers powered by the flame. Entire fleets were hidden in space folds, frozen in time. Only the strongest, smartest, and most loyal were chosen to stay. The rest of the galaxy forgot Earth. But Earth never forgot the galaxy. Now, centuries later, the first flame had awakened fully. And it was hungry. The mysterious vanishings of colonies, the silent removal of moons, cities, entire planets, were not attacks. They were collection. The flame was spreading, expanding, learning, and Earth was guiding it. Captain Rin, after his last encounter with the Terran envoy, was called to a secret meeting by the Council. They showed him reports. 5 more colonies were gone. No signs of battle. No survivors. Only one thing was found at each site, a strange, glowing ember, floating where a world used to be. Rin stood in the middle of the council chamber. They're not just back. They're becoming something else. Something we can't stop. One council leader growled, "Are you saying Earth is now our enemy?" "No," Rin replied. "I'm saying Earth might no longer be human." At that moment, a new signal came through. This time, it didn't come from Earth. It came from the flame itself. No one could understand it. No translator worked. But all who heard it felt the same thing. Fear, not the kind you feel in war. The kind you feel when the universe changes shape around you. Then came the voice again. Human, but not. You chose to forget us. You chose silence. We chose rebirth. Ships were scrambled. Fleets gathered. An alliance was formed between old enemies. They called it the Last Unity. But even as they prepared to fight, another event changed everything. One of the Terran hidden fleets woke up. A single ship, old, rusted, massive. It drifted into Council space without weapons raised. They hailed it. A voice answered, "This is Terran Dreadnought Sigma 1. We seek no war. But if you fire, we will not die alone." The ship carried a message, not just data, but history. It showed the truth of the first flame. It was not a weapon. It was not evil. It was a test, left behind by a force that existed before the stars. A force that watched galaxies grow, burn, and fall. A force that gave one species the chance to rise beyond all others. And humanity found it first. But not just to become stronger. To become something more. Now, the galaxy faced a question. Was Earth creating a god? Or becoming one? The Last Unity had to decide. Attack Earth now, or try to speak once more. Because the flame had grown too large. And it was no longer just on Earth. It was inside the stars, and it had only just begun to burn. The galaxy was no longer calm. Across every star system, fleets moved, shields powered up, and old enemies stood side by side, united by fear. The Terrans had returned, changed by something ancient. And worse, they had awakened the first flame. The leaders of the Last Unity held one final vote. Attack Earth, or do nothing. Captain Rin stood before them, warning again, if you strike, they will respond. You saw what happened to Jar's fleet. You saw the vanished colonies. But fear had taken hold. They will grow stronger if we wait, said a council elder. Soon, they may not need ships or weapons. Soon, Earth may become something no one can fight. And so, the decision was made. They would strike. A fleet of over 1,000 warships was sent to Earth, the largest force the galaxy had ever formed. Carriers, destroyers, dreadnoughts, ready for full planetary siege. Their goal was simple: cut out the flame, burn Earth clean. But when they arrived, they didn't find Earth. They found silence. The black towers were gone. The defense grid was gone. The planet looked empty. Where is the power signature? One commander asked. Where is the flame? Sensors scanned. Nothing. Then one ship vanished. No explosion. No trace. Then another. And another. Pull back. A general screamed. It's a trap. But it was too late. The silence became sound. A hum, low and deep, echoed through space. Not from Earth, but from the stars themselves. And then they saw it. Not ships. Shadows. Dark shapes, moving like smoke through space, slipping through shields, ignoring weapons. They weren't alive. They weren't machines. They were echoes of the flame. Each time a ship fired, it was swallowed. Each time they tried to run, the stars around them shifted, like space was folding inward. The first flame was not on Earth anymore. It was the system. The attack fleet didn't die in battle. It simply went quiet. No comms, no returns, just one final transmission. We touched the silence, and it touched us back. The galaxy panicked. Worlds went dark, cutting comms, hiding in fear. The Last Unity fell apart in days. Some species begged Earth for mercy. Others turned on each other. But the Terrans never spoke. No ships came. No demands were made. Nothing. Captain Rin, left behind after the failed attack, found himself drifting alone in a disabled ship. Weeks passed. Then, one day, a light appeared. A small vessel, smooth and silver, approached. It opened. Inside stood a single human. He looked like Rin remembered, but not quite. His skin shimmered faintly, like starlight. His eyes were blue, glowing gently. "You should not have come," he said calmly. "Why are you doing this?" Rin asked. "We're not doing anything," the human replied. "The galaxy is falling apart by itself. We just stepped back." "Then why awaken the flame?" The human's voice turned quiet. "To see who remembers, to see who understands." Understands what? That silence was never weakness, it was choice. And then the human gave Rin a small black box. "Take this, show them." Rin returned to the council, what was left of it. He showed them the box. Inside was no weapon, no threat. It was a recording. A message from Earth. One sentence only. "You feared our silence, but you should have feared why we chose it." Now the galaxy knew. Earth never planned to rule. It only wanted to ascend. And anyone who got in the way simply disappeared. It had been 1 year since the failed attack on Earth. 1 year since the fleet vanished into silence. No more colonies had disappeared. No more shadows came. But the fear never left. The galaxy held its breath. Every species, every empire, watched the stars, waiting for the next move. Would Earth return to finish what it started? But Earth did not speak, and the first flame remained quiet. Captain Rin, now a wandering diplomat, visited systems that once laughed at humanity. Now they whispered Earth's name with fear. They called it the silent power. Others called it the star that waits. Some even started worshiping it. Rin still carried the black box, still played the message over and over. "You feared our silence, but you should have feared why we chose it." No one truly understood what Earth had become, until it began. At the edge of the galaxy, near the ruins of a forgotten star, a light appeared. Not a weapon, not a fleet, a sphere of fire, the first flame. But now it was not small. It was alive, shaped like a star, yet moving, breathing, pulsing with strange energy. And from that fire came Earth, not as a planet, not as rock and water, but as something new. A city of light floated inside the flame. Towers that shimmered like crystal, roads made of gravity. Shapes no longer human walked its paths, tall, glowing, silent. They looked like humans, but they weren't. They were ascended, the final stage of Terran evolution, the last gift of the first flame. Across the galaxy, every sensor lit up. Space itself bent toward the flame. Ships broke down just trying to scan it. Time moved slower nearby. Stars seemed to flicker, unsure of their own light. And then a message was sent. To everyone. Every system. Every species. Every mind. We are not gods. We are not conquerors. We are what comes after war. After fear. After death. We are the silence you ignored. We are the future you feared. We are Terran flame. Then came images of Earth's fall, of its silence, of its rebirth, and finally of something beyond even that, a path no other species had taken, a path chosen, not forced, where humans became one with stars, one with thought, one with flame. The galaxy saw what they could never become, and in that moment they understood. Earth didn't want revenge. Earth didn't want war. Earth wanted to leave, to go beyond the galaxy, beyond this universe, to where no species had ever reached. Ascension. The flame slowly began to drift away from the galactic center. It pulled Earth with it, wrapped in light, surrounded by the ascended. And then, as billions watched, it vanished. Gone. No flash, no explosion, just silence. Once again, Earth had disappeared. But this time, it wasn't hiding. It had moved on. The galaxy stood still. Empires quieted. Wars stopped. Even the most powerful species felt small. Captain Rin sat in his ship, watching the empty stars, holding the black box. And for the first time he smiled. Not in fear, in wonder. Because he knew humanity hadn't ended. It had just gone where the rest of the galaxy wasn't ready to follow. Not yet. But maybe, one day, they would.